Hey guys, welcome to the latest episode of Utopia of Nerd News. Today we'll be reviewing Iron Man 3. I am Adam.
I'm Sarah.
So, the story in Iron Man 3 is based around kind of a couple little different things. It's a lot to do with Iron Man's kind of almost PTSD after Avengers.
Yeah.
The Extremis virus, the Mandarin and pissing him off. And a lot of weird little things. Without going into too many details, I'm pretty sure you know the plot for Iron Man 3 if you're watching this. So we're just going to probably move along. So let's talk about the hot button issue with this movie, the one that's caused a lot of controversy. What are your thoughts on the characters and mainly the Mandarin?
Okay, so, obviously, Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., he does an amazing job, occurring as the reoccurring role of, Iron Man, of course, He's definitely the guy for the
He's the only guy for the role.
Yeah.
And basically, Marvel's said that. They keep saying, if you don't re-sign, we'll get somebody else, but then they flat out said in an interview, we can't replace him. I mean...
Yeah, he's irreplaceable. Okay, but yeah, the Mandarin, like a letdown. Like, it's like pumping you up for this character, and it's like, yes! And then it's like you figure out what's going on, and you're like, oh, really?
Well, just playing devil's advocate here, they did a good job of misdirecting, without spoiling anything, misdirecting you towards the meaning of the Mandarin, and we knew going into it was going to be a different Mandarin than was more traditionally in the comics and cartoons. They took away his magical powers. They made him not Chinese.
Yeah.
He was English. And they tried saying, well, we gave him the samurai hair, and he's supposed to be multicultural, and they went with kind of a modern terrorist thing. And they also really changed Iron Patriot a lot, too, but we'll get into that in a minute. Or War Machine Iron Patriot, but yeah. We'll get into that in a minute. With the Mandarin, again, playing devil's advocate, I'd say they did a good job of misdirecting you, and for the sake of just the movie, not with the other stuff on the outside, pretty good. It catches you off guard. It's kind of funny, at least at first, but it drags on. It drags on.
It really does, especially with the other characters. And
personally, maybe it's less original, but I would have liked to see almost the comic book version where he's one Chinese. Let's just say the Chinese, they don't have many superheroes or supervillains.
Yeah.
Why are we taking one away and giving him to the British? They have a bunch of superheroes, as well as we Americans, but the Chinese don't have a lot of villains, and this is supposed to be Iron Man's villain. This is his main villain right here. Why couldn't they find a good Chinese actor to play him?
They could have. There's tons, I'm sure.
They filmed in China.
Come on.
But I would have liked to see, the magic, because he's supposed to be a powerful sorcerer, and use that kind of like, almost, you could see almost like a build-up the way they did Joker in the recent Batman trilogy.
Yeah.
Almost kind of like that kind of a villain, where he's just, a little bit more sane and controlled, but still psychotic in his own way. And I think they could have made a more iconic villain than what they did, even though I will say it's kind of iconic in the way that everyone's talking about it now.
True.
And for that aspect, they did a good job. But as far as truly making him a great villain, they kind of dropped the ball a little bit.
And, speaking of dropping the ball, let's talk about Iron Patriot, War Machine. During this movie, I was expecting him to pop in and out, more than he did. Mm-hmm. But you get a lot of him at the end, but it's like...
Yeah, there's a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah.
None, and then at the end for the final fight.
Right.
And one thing I'll say, Don Cheadle did a great job. He's a really good actor. In fact, I think he's the better of the two War Machines they've had in this trilogy. I think he and Robert Downey Jr.'s chemistry, kind of like a bro chemistry, is probably the best thing the entire trilogy has. And that was the only good thing in the second one, really.
Yeah.
And in this one, it was no different. Like, that was maybe my favorite aspect, was the two of them and how well they meshed together. And how they could have used him a lot more than they did. But even more so, I was expecting, not even just hoping for, but expecting some kind of little line or something to be why he wasn't in the Avengers.
Right.
There was no explanation for it. None.
Yeah.
Which means they'll probably never even touch on why War Machine never showed up outside of the movie reasons. They didn't even write in like, oh, I was busy fighting somebody else.
Yeah. Why can't you write that in? Come on.
You know, with the changes to War Machine / Iron Patriot, I was hoping at the end of the movie, this isn't a spoiler, at the end of the movie, War Machine would be like, hey, can I get a new suit or something? You know, out of context, I'm trying to stay spoiler free. Can I get like a new suit to Tony at the end of the movie? He'd be like, oh yeah, sure I can, under the conditions that you go back to the name War Machine.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Iron Patriot wasn't War Machine in the comics. He was a suit that was created by Tony Stark that was captured by Green Goblin, who obviously couldn't be in the movie for copyright reasons.
Right.
It had nothing to do with War Machine.
Wow.
Yeah, that was another complete character change between that as well. Guy Pearce did a really good job.
Yeah, he did. He did a really good job. You know, with Pepper, it was an interesting twist. Anyway, moving on to the writing and directing of this movie. I'm
not a big fan of Shane Black. I thought the directing kind of held the movie back. As we said, it just seemed like there were some really good ideas that weren't capitalized on, and you gotta blame the director for that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's his job is to make the words into something really good, to make sure the music works really well, and all those kinds of little details, but they all just, to me, seemed a little bit off.
Yeah. And, you know, like...
Don't get me wrong, this is a really good movie, go watch it.
Yeah.
It's worth
definitely.
the money of the theater price, but...
Yeah.
It just wasn't quite what I was hoping. It's good, but not great.
Right.
I was expecting a great movie. Like, the promos were perfect. They made it seem like, here it comes.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
I would agree. You know, it's one of those movies that, of course, if you've seen the first two Iron Men, you gotta go see it. And especially if you've seen Avengers, you know, I think it was a good movie, like he's saying, but I don't know, it let down in my expectations of it.
Right. That's the same way. Like, I think most movies that are as good as it is, because it's a really good movie, it's really funny.
Yeah.
But I think most movies I would be talking about the really good aspects, but because it was such a built up to be a great movie, I kind of have to focus more on the flaws than the really good parts, because there's a lot of really good parts, but it's the stuff you would expect from an Iron Man movie. Action's good. Comedy's amazing.
Yeah, of course. There's just some loopholes in the writing as well. I mean, there's a kid in it. I mean, I loved the kid aspect because it was cool to see, you know, Tony and this kid bond, but there's some loopholes.
Yeah, there's just some kind of weird things that needed either some more explaining, but it was a decently long movie. But
yeah.
I don't know. It's a good popcorn movie.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a comedy with action. I was a little bit disappointed because it looked more like a dramatic action movie from the trailer. So I was expecting maybe more drama, and there just wasn't a lot of real drama.
No, there's a little bit, but not a huge bunch.
All right, so that's our review. That's our video.
Yeah.
If you like it, please like it somewhere, wherever it's at down there. Leave a comment if you want, and we'll see you guys next time.
See ya!